Week 6 of CGL Masters Tier had us all biting our nails for playoff and seeding decider matches, as there were plenty of fun-filled disasters and ore-filled hype moments to cover. Just a quick reminder, I can't see everything that goes on in the matches. I am only one person after all, so if you happen to see someone Ajax for the one time, or your teammate has a very hyped 4K clutch, please do let me know. You can find me in the Masters Tier chat and shoot me a DM. And now moving on to the docket for the first day of matches, where we have a projected bar burner of the week. Dire Triggers vs Asura. Group 1's number 1 and number 3 seeds going head to head. Finally an interesting series. It looks like it'll be a 5-map banger! Nah. This shit was a 3-0. But even being a 3-0, we need to start a dialogue on some of this. Are Asura the frauds everyone projected to be? Are the lights too bright for them? Starting off with game 1, where we start off strong with a Ram/Ryan, May, Bastion comp from both teams with a familiar face stepping back into the lobby. Jesus. I thought he was going to make a Jason Tatum type of return, and it was kind of right. In the first round, he hit this fuck-ass flank to secure his 2. That's all he needs. He's not a greedy man. But his team could not match his freak for the rest of the map, and they lose in 2-0 fashion on Samoa. All good. We come back on map 2. MSR can carry here. Hairball comes in. The Ash is free. We got ourselves a full hold. Didn't even make it past the corner of Rialto. But I get it. It's happened to all of us before. Asura did not touch the high ground for most of the game. I feel like if they went up there, they would get haunted by the ghost of Rialto. Now in map 3, we see Jesus come back in and Xana come in to play the Lucio. And this game specifically produced so many head-scratching moments and plays that made me get up from my seat like I just saw a 30-car pile up. Starting off with the Xana Ajax. I'm so sorry, Xana, if you're watching this and pulling the 1,000-yard stare at your screen, but this genuinely made me get up from my seat and walk around. And to rub salt in the wound, Mirage hit a grab fatter than Snorlax and allowed his team to have a bountiful feast on a sweet treat, but still, they lost the point to Asura. The next point was fairly standard until the turning point of the series, the 2v4. This 2v4 that will give Asura nightmares, and you know they're in the lab reviewing this one. This 2v4 changed the course of history itself and gave just enough time for the rest of Dire to come back and win the point. The next point was also standard protocol with Asura winning the point, but point 5 is where it all turns buck wild. Starting off with a B engage from Xana and Asura that was 4 area codes away from the enemy. I don't know what demon possessed Xana to drop the beat so damn early. Maybe the ghost of Rialto is actually still haunting them. And this clearly left a little bit of damage, because soon after, the Dire Triggers tank dying to May Ice Block for no reason. He just stood there, straight froze for 40 minutes. Quite literally. After that, you have staggered deaths for the end of the point, and Dire Trigger take the series 3-0, and Asura fraud chants are getting louder. The next game on the docket was Excel versus Diamond Eagles. Not much happened. It's a 3-0, and we can move on to the next. Wait a damn minute! Is that the second Ajax of the day? Folks, we have a back-to-back Ajax. Flex Ajax for the one time, and Diamond Eagles won this map after I jinxed it in mid's chat. Of course, they lost one map, the one map he was subbed out, and he came back in map 4 with more aura than Yuta stepping into class, and Excel took the win. And now we start on the next day of competition, starting off with EMP versus Nature's Bloom. And from map 1, we knew this was likely going to be a 3-0, because couldn't find, Lux and Mommy were moving like a final boss in a Souls game. You couldn't beat them, you could sure try. Map 1 was a 2-0 from EMP, and map 2 was the exact same. And finally, we're free from this Ajax curse. Oh, never fucking mind. I know every main support for the remaining teams of the week were looking at their screen like, I'm so fucking scared. Am I gonna be next? I thought that Ajax was the dagger of the series and there was gonna be nothing more to watch. But Nature's Bloom actually came out guns a-blazing on Dorado. That was until second point came. As soon as that cart entered second, Nature's Bloom was acting like the cart had the tease touch that didn't get anywhere near that shit. And like that, Nature's Bloom was cooked. The next day of competition only has one game, and that was Cal Poly Green versus Fireside Fireflies, and there's actually nothing to talk about here besides on map 3 with a peculiar tank pick, where Rufel decides that he wants to try his best Rengo cosplay, but you are not him, buddy. All my Z2O heads will get that reference. Moving on to the next day of competition, we get to our first 3-block day of games, where the first game of the day was Jade Eagles versus Orfears, and by the score of 3-2 in the favor of Orfury, I was expecting a lot. But apparently I was quite very wrong, and really only a couple things happened that we should talk about. First, it was almost a reverse sweep in the favor of Jade, but the parade was rained on before it could reach the finish line. But map 2 had points closer than Lightning McQueen tongue incident. Back to back 99 points from the first 3. But I got personal inside info at the last point, while everyone was getting coerced into a whorehouse of death, Gato hears a little tracer running around behind him. Par has to get quieter shoes, Gato pulls out the box and wants all the smoke, and you know they just don't miss. Tar gets a little scared and runs. Gato pops their window, wants this one. He wants this one really bad. And Char moves back in to throw a pulse bomb, but the immortality field goes down and Gato wins his ones. This eventually helps him win the map for Oreo Fury. Moving on to map 5 for the backseat carry, Blink comes back from his fatherly duties of building a swing set for his kids, W-Dad. Apparently he was coaching the tank player all game, straight hounding him. But overall, the team is anxious, and after watching Ufer fry an Emery the entire series, Atomic picks up the Emery with 0 scrim time on the hero. And to be honest, he did good. Aura went all the way to OT, but still full capped, and now it's time to play defense. Again, nothing crazy happens until the Jade Eagles tank tries to backcap. Like, no bro, they see you, get off the cart! Even when the backcap failure, Jade Eagles finishes with 3 minutes of cap time and things for Fury are looking cooked. But it's all a nothing burger and Aura wins the series, but with a very rough scare. The next game of the day is Z2O versus Strike Academy. Vert predicted this one to go to 5, but Z2O had other plans as they full swept the competition, not a single point secured for Strike. Before we move on, we need to talk about Rango. After his amazing performance last week, he repeats it once again, going hog wild on the lobby. If I don't see MVP chance for him, then you really just aren't watching the VODs, and especially since he's doing it on this dog shit college setup. Man is playing on a literal DVD player screen in his college dorm. Give him his respect. But 0-1 won this one dominantly, and they win 3 straight. The last game of the night was UTD Zenith versus Starburst, and wow. The last 2 games were dominant, but the first 2 were truly head-scratching. We start the game with a ball comp from Starburst, and an Echo Juno gameplay for UTD. The first point is really just standard stuff. UTD wins the point, and we move on to Volcano, and this is where the ults start to turn players a little insane. First we start off light, we see the most hit scan pulse of all time. You know the cortisol is low when you triple blink, recall for a sticky. But the next ult in question is where it gets weird. OT's here, and wild card Paul's visor. He's looking to reposition, and he's in a mine. All good, someone else can get touched, and we blinked into a mine. And Starburst wins the round. In the next round, Vaiku puts on his best mosquito impression and just hangs around the enemy all fight. It doesn't matter where, in their back line, in the middle of them, he's just being annoying to them. But then he hears the exact same mosquito he's cosplaying in his ear, and he has to pulse that little thing. It's causing way too much ruckus. And not too much later, Sowell looks to get active with his flux. He looks at the ball, but way too mobile. Then he just decides to grab the plant. It looks at him a little weird, but I get it. I too overzealously use an ult. After that, Starburst wins the map through sheer willpower, and Havana takes a dark hold on the players and ails their mind. You'll see what I mean by this. We fast forward to the end of the first point for UTD, and Cell has to remix, so he throws the bomb on cart, easy enough to kite. Yuki just does their best moth to a flame impression, I guess, and my hands are back on my head. Just to make sure, UTD uses the noon to help cap point. Easy kite. We play for our life here, and never mind. I'm really not trying to be mean, but when things like this happen, I have to talk about it. I also want to mention Sowell's Pulsey. That is some goat stuff. They ate good today. Fast forward to a very chaotic last fight for the point. Once again, Stell uses bomb on point, and Yuki rushes to cover, but it still dies. And Vaiku just looks at the bomb and tries to blink, but panics, and dies to the bomb as well. Then we get a Looney Tune chase scene through this window, which I found hilarious. One last talking point about the series is something I found even more hilarious. Jorbor's at the backline looking to get kills and lives on 2 HP. While Stell is getting pressured and getting out, Jorbor TP's on 20 HP and convinces UTD that there's a senile old man who is on a morning stroll. After that, Starburst lose all life and lose to 3-1. Now we move on to Sunday, and it's the final day of week 6. There really is only one game to talk about here, and that is Vortex versus Eclipse, so I'll tell you that Shu crushed DePaul and nothing happened per sources. And one last thing, I'm going to plug my main YouTube here on screen, so if you could please go sub, I would really appreciate it. I worked really hard on this, and I try to post match highlights and OWCS content as much as possible, and please follow my Twitch. Thank you. Now on to the banger of the week, where we see Blackout Eclipse versus Fallen Vortex. We get right into the action with game 1, where Eclipse starts out strong with 2 opening picks from Cupid, and he doesn't lay off the gas for the rest of the game. You'll see this be a very common occurrence the entire series. At this point, Cupid is killing everything, but a hero is looking at his villain, Geo, who was a huge reason why map 1 was competitive at all. Geo had to pull more heroics on Vendetta more than any Greek god before him, but still, Cupid was just doing too much, killing everything. And the point 1 went to the way of the Eclipse. Point 2 is where the main characters of the story truly kick in, and both these teams exchange blows until 99-99, where it looks like Geo is cooked, gone, reduced to atoms, but pulls out the Uno reverse card and kills Veloves. Then Geo looks to dive the backline, where Wiener Wizard drops the beat because Geo's a threat you don't want to deal with. Even with that, Geo still finds Cupid. Brook and Theory continue to stall point until Theory decides it's go time. It goes all the way around the world to come back and touch point for 2 seconds and then walk off the point for a kill just for Fallen Vortex to C9. We then go to map 2, where we see some peculiar picks and swaps. One of which is Shoreline is subbed out for Pikachu. I know Shoreline lovers fell to their knees when they saw this, but this isn't even the weirdest swap, because we see Leo get subbed out for Roadhog Style, who plays Junkrat, and what the hell is that crosshair? On the first point, it really is just which DPS can carry harder, and Cupid decided that he just wanted to win today. He put on the burner and outpaced anyone in the lobby. I even got an ad break, and as soon as the ad break ended, Cupid had 2 kills already. But once again, Geo tries his hardest to win, with 2 kills at the end of point, but it's not enough. I think second point is where Sukuna takes over Cupid's body, and he runs Vortex's pockets. At this point, I watched the stream thinking it's a 3-0, but I wasn't ready for what's coming up next. Especially with the C9 and Pika Poco Bomb combo, I thought that was the dagger. And to rub even more salt into the already torn wound, Roadhog Style finds 2 with his tire on the last point, and Cupid fries even more, and Eclipse takes it 3-0. And just like that, Sukuna decides that Cupid can have their body back now, and the veil falls. Now Fallen Vortex takes Savannah, and a very talented Mudkip comes in for the map. I thought it was over again for Vortex when Mudkip died to his own nade, but I was soon wrong. Brook decided it was their time to take over the lobby, and through their amazing dominant play and sheer willpower, takes them all the way to third point after a huge ult to get to third point. I guess you could say that Brook was dominating? Get it? Because they're playing Domina. Am I muted? But even before that, we need to peep this annihilation from Shoreline at the end of first. You're telling me he saw 200 HP in his health bar, and you're down 2, and you decide to pull up ult? This made me gasp in real time, and I was shocked. But after this, Brook and Geo killed as much as they could till middle of third. Then we get to the Vortex defense. Their strategy was to do the classic Havana close spawn hold, and it worked for a minute actually, until they lost too many troops to defend the front lines, and they had to give it up. The first point defense for Fallen also didn't go great after this, especially after Shoreline laid this mean dominant play on Vortex, which is like watching a classic LeBron dunk. It's awesome to see. But then in comes the defensive masterclass. This was crazy to see in real time, but Geo and Brook did whatever they wanted, and finished off this map with a fat Brook ult to deny any type of contest before it even started. The reverse sweep is on the table. For map 4, Blackout takes us to Midtown, which from Vert's reaction, it sounded like a bad choice for them. Another particular choice is bringing back Roadhog Style to play Midtown, because Junk is not an amazing map. But he didn't even play Junk for the first 2 minutes, he played Vendetta. Eclipse started on attack, and it went bad from the start immediately, because Vortex played defense better than 2025 OKC Thunder, and I won't lie, it was so boring to watch. I'm talking I had more fun guessing what Vert was eating in his PFT more than watching this attack. Cupid tried to play Widow but couldn't find anything, and after 2 minutes, they swap out the DPS line entirely. But still, they cannot find a damn thing because that Vortex defense really put Eclipse in a nasty chokehold. Every time Eclipse tried to push, Vortex just turned the map into an indie horror game where Geo, Brook, and Mud were always the monster hiding around the corner and would jump at you at max speed. And then Eclipse switched to defense and sold the point for a quarter of what Vortex was selling for $1. Now we have map 5, Who wins? I rubbed my hands thinking of the prospect of a reverse sweep, and then my dumbass missed the first 2 minutes of the game. And I came back to Pikachu in the game and Cupid on Tracer and Leo on Genji. This felt weird considering you should have your hit scan on a hit scan hero, but that's just me. But Cupid, even so, proved us all wrong with a mean Tracer 4K. But while this happened, Vortex was pushing the cart to checkpoint, and then the bot went back and forth for a while with immaculate plays happening back and forth, including a Leo 3K Genji blade, but Gia wins those back and the bot stays in the middle. More tug of war happens, and eventually Brook decides that he gets a little hungry and thinks Cupid's pulse was very delicious right now, so they snack on it with a 180 to grab it. Fast forward to near the last fight territory with Eclipse trying to fight to get the cart off their side with 50 seconds to go, and with being down so much, they need to move. We start off with a Geo Blade, where he dashes to the high ground to pressure a beat from Wiener. He eventually drops the beat, and that shit hits 2 people! Now, I haven't mentioned Mudkip since his self-nade incident, but bro was frying since then low-key. Especially on this map specifically. He found 2 kills in this fight. After that, Blackout has to retreat to get their guys back, and the bot is pushing to unwinnable territory. To start this fight, Cupid wants to run the ones with Mud, and soon finds out he's not built for this, and gets recall forced out and runs away with his life. But on point, Veilov lanes on point to try and turn the fight their way. Brook uses bomb to remake and forces Suzu, but Cupid and Pika find picks respectively. Now with all this happening, Mud finds an angle on the high ground to farm ult, and finds a pick onto Pika's baby diva. Eventually, Leo notices this and tries to challenge the high ground, but is forced off the high ground himself and is chased by Mud for the kill. Mud then pops ult and seals the fate of Eclipse.
Popping the ult, the backline is all that is left, and he's trying to single-handedly win him the fight, and he just might have done enough, and Blackout falls apart. Fallen Vortex with the reverse sweep.
Now there is 2 more games to talk about. Cosmic Eclipse versus Bai, which was insane, but the replay codes got lost or something, so we'll never know what happened in there. And UIE versus Bai was actually Bai taking every single fight, but they just kept C9ing, they couldn't stay on point. It must have been the wrong replay codes because none of them worked. But that is week 6 of CGL Masters Tier for you. And once again, if you see anything funny or hype in your game, please DM it to me. I rely on it heavy. My name is Alpine. Please sub to me everywhere or follow me everywhere, and peace.